Nigerians. And it's my job, because I'm not a Nigerian, to support Nigerians in that endeavor. That is what Save the Children tries to do, and we work across all sectors, really, related to children and specifically in health. For me, I have known Nigeria for many years, and I have seen significant changes since I first arrived in 2001. There have been some major steps forward and some great successes. There have also been many things that have stood still. And one of those is particularly the care of the newborn and infants. It's very sad for us to look at that and say, why after so long has things remained static, whereas in other areas things have definitely moved forward. But even so, I'm glad to say that there is light at the tunnel, because there are people like you in this room who are dedicated to the rights of that infant, not just the adult. And with that power behind you, you must be able to succeed in what you're trying to do. So from Save the Children, we say the very best of luck, and we will be behind you all of the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Save the Children country representative. The country representative of One Campaign, Sarah Maka. If you're here, can we have your goodwill message, please? Can we welcome her with a resounding applause, please?
Your Excellency, standing on all protocols, I think the most important part of our session today are the people who are sitting here, which are the citizens. You know, the healthcare sector has marked a few wins this year. We got the 1% passed in the 2018 budget, which will go a long way for primary healthcare. To that, we're grateful to the leaders of the National Assembly and the executive for making that happen. But our work is not over till we actually implement these things. Our work is not over till a Nigerian can call these numbers that are here at the back of our folders. When something goes wrong, we can all be auditors of this process. We can all say, yes, it works, or no, it doesn't. I see members of the NYSC sitting in the back there. You guys are very important. We're all responsible for making sure that the woman who lives in Dogon Dutse in Plateau State understand that she has a right as a patient. That the healthcare providers in those villages that are not in Abuja understand that they have a responsibility as well. The last few stanzas of the prayer says, to build a nation where peace and justice reigns. And that's why we're here today, to build a Nigeria where we feel like, as citizens, as patients, justice does reign, and we do have due recourse when things go wrong. Thank you guys for this. I think that we as citizens have a responsibility, and we will uphold our responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Representative of the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, do we have any of you here? And National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives? If you're not, I'm just taking a few seconds. If I don't see anyone stand up, walk towards me, I'll then rule that we can move on with the kind permission of Mr. Vice President. Can we carry on? Mr. Vice President, sir? Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. Please put your hands together. He just gave me the nod to carry on. The next goodwill message, and second before the last actually, let me invite the Honorable Chief Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, Barrister Chile Igbawa. Can we please welcome him with a resounding applause as well?
Your Excellency, the Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Public Complaints Commission of Nigeria, we wish to express solidarity with our sister agency, the Consumer Protection Council. Public Complaints Commission redresses all forms of injustice. And part of what we have seen here today treatment meted to patients constitutes injustice. We'd like to advise and inform the public that when your rights are violated, Public Complaints Commission will come to your rescue. We offer justice for free. You don't have to pay. And we're in all states of the Federation, 36 states and the FCT. We also have offices in over 200 local governments in Nigeria. So you can access us easily. If your rights are violated, please complain to the Public Complaints Commission. You will receive justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You will agree with me that this program today, being launched by the Consumer Protection Council, is in fulfillment of the mandate to protect consumers, secure remedies when consumer rights are violated or infringed upon. Mr. Babatunde Erukera Esquire deserves yet another round of applause if I'm not asking for too much. So it is at this point that I want to kindly request that the Honorable Minister of State Health would also be giving us his own goodwill message, Dr. Osage Ehanire. Please, a round of applause for him, please.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, I seek your permission to rest on existing protocol. This document is a very important document. It draws our attention to the fact that Nigeria health system has not just only the problem of lack of equipment or lack of competence of healthcare providers. In many cases, both are present, but also a question of the rights of the patient, the way they are treated, the way we handle them. And I congratulate CPC for bringing this to the light so that we realize that the problem of medical tourism, as we call it, is not only just due to the fact that people feel unsafe in this country, they feel that they are not well protected, their rights are not protected, privacy, and particularly also the environment in which they are treated. So this is a wake-up call for the medical community, doctors, nurses, laboratory, and X-ray, and all those who have anything to do with patients, that we should treat our patients as if we are treating our guests in our house. We should not talk down to patients. We should give them the right to complain and listen to them, and above all, give them an environment that is clean, safe, and also hygienic. Thank you for your addition to the health system.
I see what happens when I take ill, I go to a hospital, the way the nurse or the midwife receives me, instantly that sickness is almost gone, just waiting for a doctor to possibly administer drugs after examination. And I think that's the type of approach that the Honorable Minister of State is asking all of us to imbibe. I'd like us to please put our hands together for the Honorable Minister of State for Health one more time. Thank you so very much, sir. At this juncture, Your Excellency, sir, would have an animation. It's a very short one. I'd like us to just watch this very briefly. 3 minutes. Let's have the animation, please.
Doctor, we have an emergency.
Please stop asking me many questions.
What are the risks involved? Are there alternative treatments?
Since you are both Google doctors, ask Google your questions about treating your baby and stop wasting our time here. Here is the medication the doctor prescribed.
Pay before treatment? Madam, please attend to this young girl first. We just saw her knocked down by a car on the roadside and we brought her in here for treatment.
Oga, this hospital does not run on water. You should be happy you didn't have to join the long line. Please go and pay the bill if you really want to save her life.
Do you know that patients have rights healthcare providers must respect and comply with? As a patient or close relative or legal guardian, you are entitled to sufficient, accurate, and helpful information, transparent and itemized billing to understand what you are paying for, confidentiality of your medical situation and records subject to overriding law and public interest, quality care, equity, and dignity in treatment and communication. QED, end of discussion. Life-saving or stabilizing emergency intervention. Know your rights. Demand and insist on them. Healthcare professional. Know patients' rights. Protect and provide them. The Patient's Bill of Rights. Consumer Protection Council. People first, every time.
Thank you very much. And very shortly, if funds are available, these adverts will be hitting your television screens and you'll be seeing them on some of the electronic billboards around Nigeria. And that voiceover was actually done by Segun Arinze, and the very first voiceover of the documentary was done by Florence Abebe. I'd like us to put our hands together for them. Thank you so very much. At this juncture, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, permit me to also stand on the already established protocol as I invite the host minister, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okechukwu Enelama, ably represented here at this event by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Mr. Edet Akpan. Please can we welcome him with a round of applause for his remarks.
Your Excellency, Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, GCON, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Commerce, Senator Mohamed Sabo, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Isaac Adewale. Your Excellency, please kindly permit me to very respectfully stand on the existing protocol. The Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okechukwu Enelama, traveled out to another equally important assignment. So he has directed me to represent him and make remarks on this occasion. His apologies, please. I am highly delighted to express few remarks at this crucial event of the launch of the Patient's Bill of Rights, being organized by the Consumer Protection Council, CPC, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health. Today's event is indeed remarkable as it marks another giant stride by the Council, a critical agency under the purview of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in its series of initiatives of ensuring adequate protection of stakeholders in the healthcare delivery system in Nigeria. I especially express my sincere appreciation to His Excellency, the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, GCON, for his great leadership role and acceptance to launch this Patient's Bill of Rights, even though he has quite a lot to do. This indeed signifies, Your Excellency, another demonstration of the importance this present administration attaches to the issues of well-being and rights of Nigerians. I must commend the commitment and effort of the Consumer Protection Council, Federal Ministry of Health, the Nigerian Medical Association, and other professional associations, including the civil rights and civil societies, working relentlessly to aggregate the rights of patients in the healthcare sector. All these efforts have led to ensuring the reality of today's remarkable event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with this initiative of the Patient's Bill of Rights, I am glad to state that the operators have opportunities to express their perceived challenges affecting changes in their industries, given the bar set by the regulators and taking into consideration the safety, the satisfaction of patients, and the sustainability of the industry. You all agree with me that patients, as consumers of healthcare services, are kings, and their interests must be overriding in the provision of healthcare services. In this context, the healthcare sector must be viable and sustainable with a view to creating quality services to patients, but certainly not at the expense of the patient. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, within the context of its mandate, is committed to overseeing this nexus of public interest and sustainable business practices. In this regard, the sector must serve the interests of the consumers for sustainability of the initiative. It is therefore the responsibility of all of us to protect the consumers from reckless profiteering and the unregulated act of nefarious businesses who pay no attention to the right and plight of the patients. The Consumer Protection Council, on its part, must be the vanguard of making these measures loud and very clear by ensuring that businesses respect the right of the consumers, given the fact that the consumers are the vulnerable patient who must be exploited. In order to facilitate this, the Council must strengthen its oversight and regulatory functions to protect them within its legal framework. On this note, I wish to enjoin stakeholders in the healthcare sector to respect and inculcate this right as a matter of practice and to ensure compliance with various regulations and laws. Efforts should be made to commence treating patients with dignity, respect, and with quality of services they deserve as human beings. Once more, I want to thank all those who contributed in making the Patients' Bill of Rights and its launch today come to fruition. We hope that we can keep the conversation going and together do the hard work of making the laudable initiative the model for how best we approach the care of all patients in our great nation, Nigeria. Thanks, and God bless you all.
Dr. Okechukwu Enelama, Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, speaking through Mr. Edet Akpan, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry. Can we please applaud him one more time? Thank you so very much. And moving on, Your Excellency, it is the turn of our very indefatigable Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, to then make his remarks at this juncture. Please, a warm round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, GCON, SCN, the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Osagie Hanire, Mr. Edet Akpan, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, standing in for the Honorable Minister, the Chairman of the Consumer Protection Council, Barrister Emeka Nwapa, DG CPC, Mr. Babatunde Erukera, President, Nigerian Medical Association, DG National Orientation Agency, Honorable Commissioners here present, Chief Executives of tertiary health institutions and agencies, captains of industries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of all the factors involved in mediating healing and care in the health sector, none is as important as a compassionate patient-provider interaction. Your Excellency, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome all stakeholders to the launch of the Patients' Bill of Rights by you, Mr. Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, I wish to commend Your Excellency for your friendly and caring disposition to the health sector. In an ideal setting, the goal of health services is to provide all patients with high-quality care in a manner that clearly recognizes individual rights and needs. In places where this goal is effectively accomplished, the patients and the care provider always work together to develop and maintain optimum health. You will recall that the Consumer Protection Council, the Nigerian Medical Association, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, Medical Lab Sciences Council, Nursing and Midwifery Association, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Health, and other stakeholders commenced the process for the formulation of an acceptable guide to regulate interactions between patients and healthcare workers in the country. This guide finally came out today as a Patient's Bill of Rights. The PBOR, for short, identifies rights and privileges in a patient-caregiver relationship for the protection of consumers and providers, as well as promote higher and safer healthcare standards in our hospital. As a signatory to all UN declarations and treaties, we recognize rights as basic essentials in any decent society. And we must guarantee these rights. Our worth will be measured by our commitment to protect these rights. In a care setting, imbalances in power relationship makes protection of these rights sacrosanct, as many of our patients are helpless and often severely in need. We need to ensure that our stakeholders, we guarantee our responsibilities and ensure that people have the right to information, the right to proper explanation of their medical situation in a language they understand, the right to control decision-making with respect to their treatment regimen, the right to know when to, where to, and how to secure a second opinion when necessary. We must stop playing God as a care provider. The rights of our people must be protected, while at the same time, the right of the provider must also be guaranteed. As often in many situations, providers have been assaulted by patients and their relations. Responsibility to comport members properly, keep appointments, and settle agreed bills. And in emergency situation, we expect patients and relations to make provisions for setting the bills as agreed. Our expectation is that this PBOR will further help us in our resolve to achieve universal coverage through strengthening the healthcare delivery system, building synergy between the service providers and the patients, improving patients' understanding of health procedures and technologies, improvement of patient safety and quality of care, monitoring of standards and practice both in the public and private sector, ensuring that the needs of vulnerable and marginalized groups are met and that they are treated equitably, and also fostering multi-sectoral actions. In addition, we need to build trust and confidence in the national health systems. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude my speech by reiterating the commitment of this administration to revamping the Nigerian health system by making the primary care system the fulcrum of achieving excellent health services for our people, while upgrading the tertiary health institutions to deliver quality care when needed and minimizing medical tourism. Our commitment to implementing the National Health Act 2014 is not in doubt. Your Excellency, the most challenging task has just started. We must initiate actively a robust program of citizen education and awareness raising. It is my joy again to thank His Excellency, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, for accepting to launch this PBOR. I also want to appreciate the commitment of the Director General of the Consumer Protection Council, Mr. Babatunde Rukera, a dogged advocate and a passionate worker. I also want to appreciate your team for your coordinating role, particularly in the development of the PBR. Thank you. God bless you all.
In the part of the world where I'm from, when a man speaks so glowingly about a project and about the people concerned, we usually would give him a louder applause. Can we please give that applause to Professor Isaac Adewale, Honorable Minister of Health? Thank you so very much for your kind words. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the number 2 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a man so dignified, a man so visionary, dynamic, indefatigable, ebullient, intelligent, senior advocate of Nigeria, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Please can we welcome him, Vice President, with a resounding applause.
Thank you very much. Please sit. The Chairman, House Committee on Commerce, ably represented today by the Honorable Solomon Marin, the Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale,